Hello, my name is Nazira Saharani and I'm from English Education Students. And right now, I want to tell to a first lesson book about assessing grammar. So, have you ever give a grammar test and then ask yourself, but does this test actually measure what I think it measures? That question is exactly what this book tried to answer. So, Assessing Grammar, written by James Bukra and published by Cambridge University Press in 2004 as part of the Cambridge Language Assessment Series, is the first book ever written entirely dedicated to the assessment of grammar in second language contexts. The book is written for English language teachers, for language testers, and graduate students in applied linguistics or TESOL. Basically, anyone who has ever designed or used a grammar set and wants to do it better. In its core, so the author argues one bold idea: grammar cannot be assessed in isolation, it must be assessed as a communicative resource, one that connects grammatical form with meaning and context. Across 9 chapters, also the author was reading through the theory of what grammar is, the research on how it is learned, and the practical steps for designing valid and reliable grammar assessment. So let's move on to the strengths and weakness of this book. So we have we have strengths for the strengths this book. First, there's a groundbreaking and comprehensive theoretical framework. So one of the biggest strengths of this book is that it fills gap that nobody else have filled before. The authors built an entirely new framework for defining grammatical ability, one that goes beyond just knowing the rules. The rule distinguishes between grammatical knowledge, your spelling knowledge of form, and grammatical processing, your ability to use this form fluently in real communications. This distinction is crucial for teachers. It means that a student who scores like 90% on a fill-in-the-blank grammar test might still struggle to communicate because those two abilities are not the same thing. For example, a student might perfectly know the rule use the passive voice when the agent is unknown, but in actual syntax, they might never apply it naturally. So the author framework gives teacher language to talk about and test both dimensions. Another strength is that the breeze and theory and practice beautifully. This book does something rare in academic writing. It doesn't just give you theory and leave you standing. Each chapter connects directly to real classroom and has design implications. For instance, like in chapter 5 and chapter 6, he walks you step by step through designing and developing text tags, from choosing item types to writing rubrics to ensuring your test actually measure what you teach. You're not just reading about what grammar assessment should be, you're getting a practical roadmap for how to build it. So another strength is just cover both large scale and cultural assessment. Many assessment books focus only on big standardized tests, but the author believes both works, like in Chapter 8, is entirely devoted to learning-oriented assessment, formative assessment that teachers can use inside the classroom to support grammar development, not just grading. This makes the book useful not just for tests developers at TOEFL or Cambridge and so on. But for the everyday classroom teacher in like Jakarta or anywhere else who want the grammar quiz to actually teach something. So we move on next to the weakness. So of course there is a weakness in this book. So the first, limited attention to digital and technology-based assessment. The book was published in 2004, and it showed there is very little discussion of a computer adaptive testing, automated scoring, or digital grammar assessment tools, all of which are now central to how grammar is assessed at scale. In an era where AI can now grade grammar essays, this gap is especially noticeable. Teacher and test designer working in today's tech-rich environment will need to supplement this book with more current resources. So another weakness of this book, it could be more globally diverse. So most of the grammar examples and assessment tasks in the book are designed around standard American or British English context. As a result, teachers working in contexts like us in Indonesia, where students are learning English in very diverse cultural and communicative environments, uh, may find that some examples feel distant or not immediately applicable. A more diverse range of examples from EFL contexts, multilingual classroom, or non-Western settings will have made the book feel more universally relevant. Now, let me ask you something personal. How many times have you given a grammar test? Maybe paper choice test, maybe fill in the blank test and mark it, calculate the score and move on. And how many times have you stopped to ask, does this test actually tell me anything useful about my students? Or am I just measuring their ability to get the right answer? If you never ask that question, you should start to question it about that. And if you have asked it, then this book is exactly what you've been looking for. That's all from me. Thank you.